Hello, Brubs. We're back with new book arrivals number 309, I believe. As you can see, I got a pile of books. Most of these came from 3 different places. So let's get on with these. An autobiography by Agatha Christie. The intriguing life story of the First Lady of Mystery. Joyful adventure, she brings the sense of wonder to her extraordinary career. I wonder if she talks about her missing period when she disappeared. Probably not. This book is not in great shape, but I don't think I have it. It's up there at the top, but you can't really see it, so. Wonder if she discusses her missing time. Anyway, such as that. Fathers and Sons by Ivan Turgenev. And what a terrible cover. I mean, what's this? What's this even supposed to be? Just a huge blank space. Did they want you to write on that, or is it worn off, or what the hell is that? That's just a. I mean, this part of the cover is nice, but what the hell is this whole blank space? That makes no sense. Never read hey, Turgenev. The publication of Fathers and Sons brought forth storms of controversy that were unprecedented, even in a country used to taking its literature seriously. In this novel, Turgenev penetrated to the very roots of the basic conflict between the revolutionary spirit and the absolute monarchy. He not only dramatized the most important issue of his time, but also heralded one of the most tumultuous periods in his country's history. Gone with the Wind. And I probably already have too many copies of this book with no intention of ever reading it, but this is a vintage copy, probably 1970s. 1973. And it's got a great cover. Almost looks like a tornado approaching. What the hell was that? Bookmark fell out. To adjust this cover to the thickness of your book, slip this closed end. Oh, this is the Antioch Bookplate Company. Did not know there was that, bruv. It's a long book. Wonder what the hell that. I mean, I've heard of the movie, but I've never seen it. I've seen parts of it. Michigan Murders. The terrifyingly true story of the savage co-ed killings by the boy who could have lived next door. I like how they put the. What's this called? The Paperback Jungle? I wonder where the hell that was at. The Paperback Jungle, $1.25. If there's a stamp for the Paperback Jungle, I gotta look that up now. Very interesting. The Paperback Jungle, Bubba. Oh, that's mushrooms. This was about murders in Ypsilanti. I think between July 1967 and July 1969, 7 sexual murders were committed with sadistic fury. In each case, not a single clue. A diabolical killer or killers stalked the area, and 6 separate police agencies were unable to end the horror. Day by terrifying day, they searched for the elusive murderer with the community, while the community lived in a nightmare of fear. Then, almost by accident, a break in the case. The suspect, a young, quiet, all-American boy. Connoisseurs of great American trials will find one here. True crime devotees won't want to miss this one. And this occurred in Ypsilanti, Michigan, and the surrounding area. I believe there were co-eds from Michigan and Eastern Michigan University. 2 Agatha Christie books, and it looks like someone left their fucking dinner on there. Death in the Clouds and The Hollow. Not very exciting covers, but for a quarter, I couldn't pass them up. Nice solid books for a quarter. This cost me $1 at a rummage sale today, but Art Deco Hitler. This is a Scholastic book. Scholastic Book Services, 1961. 5th printing, 1968. And this is just William H. or is it L. Scherer? Whatever it is, William L. or H. or it's falling apart. As you can see, it's not in very good shape. What is it, L or just says sure? Sure. Who was this Adolf Hitler? Who rose from the gut? Did he really come from the gutter? I don't think. I mean, you can say you don't like Hitler, but I don't know if he came from the gutter. Who was this Adolf Hitler who rose from the gutter to conquer most of Europe? What madness led him to plunge the world into the bloodiest war in history? Here is the complete story of Hitler's beginnings, his triumphs, and his downfall. You want to know what the madness is? Socialism. That was his madness. But you're not allowed to call him a socialist because he loved his country. I've actually found two copies of The Rise and Fall of Adolf Hitler. And I didn't really realize that this was more of a children's book. What do you got, bruv? Where did I see it? That it's... Maybe I don't know. But I never realized that this book was kind of like a young adult sort of book. A camera portrait of Adolf Hitler. Random House. Our Band Could Be Your Life. Scenes from the American Indie Underground, 1981 to 91. Obviously, it's going to include... I guess maybe it isn't. Butthole Surfers sound... I thought it was going to be... what's their name? Nirvana. But I guess not. Maybe they were after that. Mission of Burma, The Minutemen, Black Flag, Husker Du, Minor Threat, The Replacements, Dinosaur Jr., Beat Happening, Mudhoney, Fugazi, Big Black, Sonic Youth, Butthole Surfers. I almost put this book back, but I saw that it was worth some money, so I said might as well grab it. I'll never read it because I'm not really going to read about bands. If I want to read about bands, I'll just look on, Wikipedia. R.L. Stine, Goosebumps, The Scarecrow Walks at Midnight. I always collect these just because immature adults go back and buy them. I need to collect all the books I read as a kid. All right, you do that, buddy. I never read these sort of chapter books when I was little. Maybe I did. I don't remember reading them or anything having an impression on me. I used to read newspapers. Don't recall reading. I recall reading like Go Dog Go when I was like 5. Walking Disaster, a novel by Jamie Maguire. There was other books by this author, but they were not in good shape, so I picked this one up. I need to find more by her so I can sell them together as a lot. But I'll never read this tripe. Let's see what it's. Travis Maddox learned two things from his mother before she died: love hard, fight harder. In Walking Disaster, the life of Travis is full of fast women, underground gambling, and violence, but just when he thinks he is invincible, Abby Abernathy brings him to his knees. Every story has two sides. In Beautiful Disaster, Abby had her say. Now it's time to see the story through Travis's eyes. Oh boy. Shakespeare and Trump by Jeffrey R. Wilson. And originally I just thought there was like comparing things, but this is What Means That Trump? Jeffrey Wilson sounds the Shakespearean resonances of the presidency, from controversial productions to what he terms politicin, animated by a frank, searching voice. Wilson's book energetically chronicles our dramatic moment and how it might end. Scott Newstock. As Wilson illustrates the political drama that has unfolded since 2016 is tragedy, comedy, and history rolled into one, and the consequence in part of a failure in the humanities to instill the moral and civic lessons that bind us. Serving as a corrective, this book reveals how understanding our present moment through a Shakespearean lens offers the possibility of healing and redemption, not only for the bitter political divide among Americans, but also for the American democratic experiment itself, which doesn't exist. There is no democratic experiment. We are and have been a Republican form of government, which doesn't mean Republican Party. It's a republic, like Plato's Republic. That's why we have a electoral college. It's not a democratic vote. At least not in terms of the president. But this is probably just basically Trump derangement syndrome, and then they just tagged it with Shakespeare. Not offended by it. I'll possibly read it in 2,000 years. Every House is Haunted by Ian Rogers. Ian Rogers' stories are old-fashioned in the very best sense, classic chillers. In the spirit of Shirley Jackson and Richard Matheson, Every House is Haunted is full of well-crafted, satisfying twists, a fine companion for any reader of literate horror. Is this one book or stories? There she goes, the frog lady, pushing her garbage cans out at fucking 2 o'clock in the morning, making as much noise as she possibly can. Don't understand that woman. In his brilliant debut collection, Ian Rogers explores the border places between our world and the dark reaches of the supernatural. The landscape of death becomes the new frontier for scientific exploration. A honeymoon cabin with an unspeakable appetite finally meets its match. What year is this? 2012. Raymond Chandler, a biography by Tom Heine. The library I bought this at had bundles of Raymond Chandler books, but one bundle was $6 and one was 12, and I was like, yeah, I don't need any Raymond Chandler that bad, to the tune of $20. So instead, I got a biography for $1. It's in great shape. If I ever open a bookstore, I now have a Raymond Chandler book, and I like how it has these little things like it's torn, like right here. Cute. Colin Wilson. I believe I have other books by Colin Wilson, but this is Religion and the Rebel, his successor to The Outsider. Colin Wilson's second book, successor to his acclaimed The Outsider. In it, he answers the charge that The Outsider is just an intellectual fad, showing instead that he is a powerful symbol of rebellion against materialist society and a product of a lack of spiritual tension or vision in all declining civilizations. Goddamn octopus beard. Elie Wiesel, The Trial of God, with a new introduction by Robert McAfee Brown. Where is God when innocent human beings suffer? The drama lays bare the most vexing question confronting the moral imagination. Set in a Ukrainian village in the year 1649, this haunting play takes place in the aftermath of a pogrom. Only two Jews, Berish, the innkeeper, and his daughter Hannah, have survived the brutal Cossack raids. When three itinerant actors arrive in town to perform a Purim play, Berish demands that they stage a mock trial of God, instead indicting him for his silence in the face of evil. Cute. The International Jew, Jewish Influences in American Life by Henry Ford Sr. And I believe that these were all of the columns that appeared in Henry Ford's The Dearborn Independent, where he railed against Jewish bankers, mostly, I believe. In 1920, Henry Ford bought the Dearborn Independent, a virile and very independent journal published in his hometown. He used it to publish his series of 81 articles between 1920 and 22 on the Jewish question in America, which he called the world's foremost problem. The Dearborn Independent was distributed nationwide to Ford dealer showrooms and was offered free of charge to the general public. At its peak, circulation reached 700,000 readers. He later published the articles as a 4-volume set of books. At the Nuremberg Tribunal, Baldur von Schirach, Hitler youth leader, said he had been influenced through reading these books. The work was also quoted in Mein Kampf by Adolf Hitler. This volume reprints the articles from March 26, 1921 to November 1921. This 4-volume set is an important document in the history of anti-Semitism in America. Oh, so these are only part of it. All right, that's cool. Shakespeare's Language by Frank Kermode, a magnificent book, the honey of a lifetime's visits to the Shakespearean garden. Superb. Frank Kermode, Britain's most distinguished scholar of 16th and 17th century literature, here restores Shakespeare's poetic language to its rightful primacy. How did this language develop? Something extraordinary happened in Shakespeare's plays during the first decade of the 17th century. And Kermode explores the nature and consequences of this dynamic transformation. The originality of his argument, the elegance and humor of his prose, and the intelligence of his discussion make this a landmark in Shakespeare studies. Sure it does. The Everything Ghost Hunting Book: Tips, Tools, and Techniques for Exploring the Supernatural World. Man, who you gonna call? Commitment, training, and probation. Are they kindred spirits? Not bad for 50 cents. The ancients believed that elements called dryads were the spirits of trees. Robert Kennedy, His Life by Evan Thomas. Obviously, you know who Robert Kennedy is, so I won't even bother with that one. Horror Store, a novel by Grady Hendrix. Normally, I wouldn't get a book like this, but it's interesting setup. Oh, it's made to almost look like a magazine. I don't know what year this was made. Fiction, horror, and parody. Let's see if it has a synopsis on it. Something strange is happening at the Orsk Furniture Superstore in Cleveland, Ohio. Every morning, employees arrive to find broken Keurig bookshelves, shattered glans, water goblets, and smashed Larapip wardrobes. It's kind of like a... What's that store called? IKEA. The Bride and the Bachelors. The Bachelors what? 5 masters of the avant-garde: Duchamp, Tingley, I've never heard of him, Cage, Rauschenberg, and Cunningham. It's a bit marked up, but what's this even about? A lively and intelligent book that easily and competently unriddles the avant-garde feats of Rauschenberg's pop art, Tingley's, is that Tingley? Tingley's Suicidal Machines, John Cage's Music of Chance, and Marcel Duchamp's glass painting, The Bride stripped bare of her bachelors, even, from which the title derives. And I found that out while looking it up on eBay. Michigan Haunted Lighthouses. I actually have this book, but it's worth some money, so I'll resell it. Don't believe in haunted lighthouses, but some people do. I'm really tired. The lights that never went out. Michigan has more lighthouses than any other state, with more than 120 dotting its expansive Great Lakes shoreline. Many of these lighthouses lay claim to haunted happenings. Former keepers like the cigar-smoking Captain Townsend. Images of America, Wyandotte, Michigan. There you go. Like I said, I'm tired. Need to go to bed. Blood Meridian by Cormac McCarthy, the author of The Road, and oh, look, it's got some moisture exposure. Nice. Sons of bitches. I think that's why I didn't get it last time. But for a quarter, it's worth a little moisture exposure. Oh yeah, you can see it there clearly. Sons of bitches. The Penguin Anthology of 20th Century American Poetry, edited by Rita Dove. Big fat book for a quarter. Cannot beat it. And lastly, a book I'm going to sell because it's worth about 25 bucks. Lunkers Love Night Crawlers, the deadliest live bait method anyone can use. If you ever want to catch the big fishy, you got to use the lunkers, buddy. By the editors of Fishing Facts magazine. Paid 50 cents for this book, and I could probably sell it for about 20, which is nice. I'm going to bed. F this. Time to go to bed.